Mao Zedong's history cannot be read in detail at all, just like a science fiction novel. Many people don't understand how strong his ability and level are. China has encountered a powerful enemy unseen in thousands of years, and China is in a situation of great change unseen in 3,000 years. This assertion was put forward by Li Hongzhang, a famous official in the late Qing dynasty. Kang Youwei, Tan Sitong, and Yuan Shikai all thought so, but they were powerless. Those as strong as Zhou Zongtang and others also regained Xinjiang at most. There is only one person who has played all his hobbies to a master level. He also performed one of the most bizarre examples, that is, doing things with integrity and openness can be successful, provided that your ability and determination are strong enough. If you take a closer look at his experience, there are countless setbacks and grievances. There are dozens of ups and downs, but he has no complaints or emotions. Even if a loved one dies, he will not waver. He has never touched the things he has opposed in his life, and his mind is as broad as his poems without leaving any traces. At the same time, some things that seem contradictory but must exist are almost perfectly and dialectically deduced in him. Set one ambition and never betray in life. Don't talk about three, don't talk about money, don't talk about women, don't talk about trivial matters. Contributing meritorious deeds, standing up for words, facing death all his life without getting hurt. You don't get paid when you lead troops into battle, and you win battles if you don't appoint officials and make promises that people don't run away. Take care. It can be compared with the contemporary Turkish founding father Kemal, who lost 80% of the territory and was overturned after 2 generations. India's Gandhi is also at the mercy of others, divided into several pieces. The chairman went to the Soviet Union with bare hands and no bargaining chip to negotiate, but he came back with a lot of rewards. He reversed the situation by playing a little balancing strategy. His great wisdom is stunned. Zhang relied on waiting and asking, intimidating, and luring. Chairman Mao did not have the conditions to create conditions. If you give it, you will give it. If you don't give it to me, I will do it myself. No one can threaten him. When the time is not ripe, be as quiet as a virgin, and when the time comes, firmly grasp the initiative and never be led by the nose by others. The Russians struggled for 300 years to get an ice-free port, but they lost it for no reason. When they met cruel people, at least half of their land was lost. If Chairman Mao had stayed during the Long March, the end would have been that the Central Red Army would have been wiped out and he would have continued to develop. Chairman Mao played the worst cards all his life, even without any cards, but he used the worst cards to crush all the enemies, including the most powerful military complex in the history of Blue Star. Choosing a side station unloaded all the bad debts and historical introduced a complete industrial system, divided the 3 worlds and carried them into the chain, and completed the magnificent turn from chess pieces to chess players. In the most difficult situation, it also realized the output of ideas, turned the defense into offense and turned the enemy's interior upside down. That's why leaders from Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the United States lined up to visit him in Beijing. He subverted people's perception and gameplay of power throughout history. 2. Do you see that the United States bothers to take the initiative to visit countries such as Cuba, Iran, Syria, etc. without even establishing diplomatic relations? Let's block you for 100 years first. No one in history has ever played like this and succeeded. Greed, hatred, ignorance, suspicion, and arrogance, double tongue, and gossip, you can't find them all in his articles and experiences. He is not interested in houses, cars, sons, power, bank deposits, or even life, see Chongqing negotiations. He only likes reading and doing things. All articles and decisions are from the perspective of God, and all counselors are not as high as him. The ancients still cared about a little reputation to last forever, but he didn't care. The sages are not benevolent and treat everything as a dog. I only see this one person who performed a perfect interpretation. His articles and poems, if they resonate after reading, you will feel energy and strength. This is not a joke. The poems of the ancients are also like this. If you don't have that state, you can't write that thing. You know every word of the poems he wrote, but you just don't have the ability to compose them, a pure person who is really out of vulgar taste. In terms of technology and strength, there is a gap like intergenerational crushing. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, the French Empire, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and Manchuria have all been cultivated for nearly 100 years, and so on have lost 6% of their territory. More than 10, and even Indians and Maori endings are possible. Everyone is desperate, there is no one under his command, the society is in disarray, you just kneel down and have no choice. What kind of responsibility and courage did that generation have, even if they took the heads of the people, but you also want people to see hope? A person came out with tenacity and said that if you follow me, you will definitely win. His confidence is like nuclear power, and the power has never been cut off. The problem is that he really won. Another example is, you already know that he won in this way, and if you are chosen to travel back to the Republic of China, you will not be able to copy your homework, and if you can't do it, you can't do it. Why does Joe, who comes out once every 500 years, become a deputy? Why does Montgomery say that Napoleon and Patton are compared to the chairman like fireflies are compared to the sun? They mainly rely on the power of the state. Because the deeds and ages are different, it is a bit difficult to compare. But I can tell you a cruel fact. First, self-made peasant uprisings in foreign countries have never been successful since ancient times. There is also a large number of historically powerful nations. In fact, they all overturned after experiencing the great changes of the millennium, and they should never recover. This is true of Arabs, Kurds, Armenians, Persians, Turks, Macedonians, etc. These powerful nations before, many of which have tens of millions of people, do not even have a country or are pitifully small. Armenia, Macedonia, and Jews all have more foreign populations than domestic ones, and they will wake up laughing when a Chiang Kai-shek or Kaimul emerges. 3. Let me talk about the most intuitive comparison. In fact, Zhou Zongtang, Yuan Shikai, Du Enkaiyue, Chiang Kai-shek, etc. have produced a large number of outstanding people in modern times. You can read the biographies for details. Everyone knows in their hearts that there is only one way to face the intergenerational crushing of the great powers. When technology cannot surpass it, create a superpower to contend with it. This power must be strong enough to fill the gap in weapons, so Mao said, you hit your atomic bomb, I hit mine. But everyone thinks that this is a complete fantasy and an impossible task. The fate of your country is all in the hands of the great powers, so everyone has seen a strange situation, that is, China chose the opposite side in the 2 world wars, and was humiliated in the end. A few foreigners held a meeting and said whatever they wanted decide the fate of your nation. That's why the 38th parallel, the 17th parallel north latitude, the McMahon line, and even a lot of inexplicable straight lines in Africa appeared. The plan for China is to draw the Yangtze River and rule it, and divide it into 7 parts at the same time. Turkey, India, and the Middle East have become disorganized, and inexplicably many Israelis have come out and as a result, Chairman Mao created a people's army and a great party from scratch. The branch was built on the company, and the work was so meticulous that each soldier gave full play to his subjective initiative to the greatest extent, forcibly leveling the gap. This requires the most advanced thinking and the largest and most patient work. Just like this fight against the epidemic, you don't have that ability, and you can't copy your homework. In ancient and modern China and abroad, no one or any organization was able and willing to mobilize this power sincerely. What if we play with fire? You put him on the opposite side, are you willing to mobilize him? Do you have that patience and ability? The army and the people are united as one, and those who share the same desire will win. Sun Tzu, Conspiracy. Only he has done this with sincerity. This is the most powerful force in history, so it is definitely not an exaggeration to say that Mao is the only one in the world. He subverted everyone's common sense and gameplay. And you will probably find that he has no so-called historical limitations at all. His articles and poems completely transcend time and space, sitting on the ground for 80,000 miles a day, surveying the sky and watching 1,000 rivers from a distance. The eagle strikes the sky, fish flying in the shallow bottom is a view of God looking down on the common people on the earth. He accurately predicted a series of time points such as the anti-Japanese War, the Chinese Revolution, the War of Liberation, the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and the United States, and after his death. His revolutionary optimism continues to touch each of us, and he single-handedly changed the soul of a nation. He only has goals in his eyes, not people. No personal enemies, no buddies, no gangs, no hilltops, no pleasure in things, no sorrow, no coercion, no greed for enjoyment, no privileges, no need for others, no fear of offending anyone.